King David, a world premiere concert event, is a 1997 oratorio, sometimes described as a work-in-progress musical, co-produced by the Walt Disney Company and Andre Jaoui, and written by Alan Menken, music, and Tim Rice, libretto. Originally conceived by Jaoui as a grand musical performed in Jerusalem to celebrate the 3,000th anniversary of the city's founding, it was eventually staged as a concert in the first production at Broadway's New Amsterdam Theatre after Disney's restoration. Opening on May 18, 1997, after 3 previews beginning May 15, the show ran for 6 performances closing May 23. King David is a song cycle about David, whom Alan Menken deems one of the great heroes of Jewish history, and is based on biblical tales from the books of Samuel and 1 Chronicles, as well as text from David's Psalms. It retells the Old Testament story of the shepherd boy, David, who rises from his humble roots to become king of Israel, including the drama between him and Saul and David's trials and tribulations in the foundation of Jerusalem. 2. At present, there are no plans for a full-stage Broadway production. History. Conception. King David was originally conceived in 1994 by Jerusalem 3000 producer Andre Jaoui as a musical based on the life of King David to commemorate the 3,000th anniversary of the founding of the city of Jerusalem. It was to be performed in 1996 at Sultan's Pool, an archaeological site which had since been turned into concert arena. 5. Jaoui described it as the most spectacular and dramatic production ever staged, as well as conveying a message of inspiration, hope, and peace to the world. 5. The show was expected to tour worldwide, including in Los Angeles before playing on Broadway and the West End. 5. Jaoui approached Menken and Rice about writing the piece. Menken took on songwriting duties while bringing on his collaborator Rice for the libretto. 6. The two were sought after due to the former's Broadway success Beauty and the Beast and the latter's cinema hit The Lion King. 5. Rice had previously helped Menken complete the scores of Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast after Menken's partner, Howard Ashman, died of AIDS. This would be their first full score together. 3. The show would also be Rice's third biblical-themed musical. Having previously written the lyrics to Jesus Christ Superstar and Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Rice has since developed a long-time interest in the character of Saul and utilized the opportunity to theatrically explore the character's tragic narrative in the context of his rivalry with David. 7. By November, cast and production crew had not yet been selected. 5. Over the next couple of years, meeting dates became difficult to arrange, and the project languished. Menken collaborated with Stephen Schwartz on Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and afterwards both men moved on to biblical projects. Schwartz to The Prince of Egypt, and Menken returned to King David. While Jaoui had wanted a grandiose musical, Menken assessed the enormous space really could only handle a concert, so the project evolved into a humbler oratorio. 7. By December 1995, Disney had come on as a producing partner to Jaoui, and the company re-announced King David to the press as an Israeli concert to be performed in September 1996, featuring Israeli and American actors, though no one had yet been cast. 10. Robert W. McTire, Senior Vice President of Walt Disney Theatrical Productions, said, "This work is being written as a concert, or as Alan Menken would say, an oratorio, and that following the performance, then we'll see what kind of life it has." Disney. King David's planned debut in Caesarea, Israel in September 1996 was canceled. Menken cited the score not being completed and due to security concerns. Ultimately, an opportunity arose at the New Amsterdam once Disney came on as producer. According to Rice, when it proved logistically and financially impossible to do it and Disney took an interest, he changed gears. 11. Classic New York history argues Disney chose to reopen the New Amsterdam Theatre with King David and a screening of the Hercules movie so that press related to the reopening would not be overshadowed by that of the soon-to-be major hit The Lion King. 12. After being an open secret in the industry and months of speculation, 13. On August 19, 1996, the King David project was officially re-announced by Walt Disney CEO Michael supporters gathered around a piano while Mencken performed a 7-minute preview of songs from the oratorio. 14. Eisner noted the first full production was still a toss-up between The Lion King and Aida, with the decision not being made until after Disney execs attended a reading of The Lion King. Rice opined it's really a fairly un-Broadway piece, something that we hope will work eventually on Broadway, but the great thing is we haven't had to worry about how we get people on and off stage. It's a work in progress. Eisner described the concert as the first step toward the theatricalization of King David as a full-stage production. 13. Noting its unfinished quality, the New York Times later described it as Broadway's most lavish workshop. 7. Writing. From the point of view of the piece, it might not have been the best way to open cold in a magnificent, virtually new theater, which inevitably attracted a lot of attention, and all this stress and work to play only a few days. On the other hand, Alan and I feel it's been a terrific chance to get something in the works quickly. We intended this to be the first stage of development. Instead of having continuing previews, we're regrouping in 6 to 9 months after Lion King. Tim Rice's thoughts on King David's premiere at the restored New Amsterdam Theater. Mencken and Rice found that the story divided itself into two halves, David and Saul in the first part, where he is written as a hero, and the succession story in the second part, where he is written as flawed. In their assessment, both the biblical treatment and modern-day perception views these tales of David as virtually two stories featuring almost two characters, noting a generally accepted theory of being written by two separate authors. The team decided against a clear viewpoint of the Bible as a work of fiction versus a record of historical events, and instead focused on the political and psychological life of a leader with modern-day allegories. 17. Rice's lyrics jump between classical and contemporary references and balance both the humorous and dramatic. 8. Production. By August 1996, casting was underway with the cast and design team being announced by November, and tickets going on sale before the end of the year. At this time, a fully staged version was being considered for the fall of 1998. The show featured two actors known to Disney audience for their performance in animated movies, Judy Kuhn as the singing voice of Pocahontas, and Roger Bart as the singing voice of Hercules in the then-upcoming film of the same name. During initial press, the creative team avoided drawing attention to Julie Taymor's The Lion King, which incorporated Rice's score to the 1994 film, which was expected to replace King David for the 1996-97 season. 3. Disney officials would not comment on the cost of the concert presentation of David or the price of tickets, though they intimated the latter would fall in line with current Broadway levels. 18. Premiering on May 15, 1997, 5 days earlier than originally scheduled. 20. The 2-hour, 40-minute, 30-song song cycle was presented with a chorus of 30 and an orchestra of 65. The performers were costumed and there was a set, but the production was not choreographed or fully staged. 14. Mayor Rudolph W. Giuliani delivered the curtain speech this evening at the opening night of King David. By May 23rd, the artwork had been completed and advertisements for the forthcoming CD were released. 16. Ockrent doubted the nature of peace would make it eligible for a Tony Award. This proved not to matter as King David opened after the deadline for the 1997 awards voting had closed. Music? King David is mostly sung through with little dialogue, and the music incorporates genres ranging from pop, jazz, and rock to grand ballad-like choral arrangements. It uses a large orchestra and a large choir. The piece is based on biblical tales from the books of Samuel, 1 Chronicles, and David's Psalms. 22. Playbill described the style of songs in King David as most similar to his score for the unproduced TV musical Messiah on Mott Street. The piece contains around 5,000 bars of music compared to Beauty and the Beast, which only has 2,200 bars. 7. For Mencken, the process of making King David is like writing an album, where he played with styles including Semitic, Middle Eastern, cantorial, pop, and classical. 7. Mencken wanted to incorporate period instruments recorded on May 11th. There are 5 orchestrators, some of them working around the clock, and we're still probably not going to get this completed by the first orchestra rehearsal. The New York Times felt the show sets these exultant exclamations sung by a horde of victory-drunk ancient Israelites to a rousing, peppy melody that bizarrely evokes the fare that clean-cut choral groups like the New Christy Minstrels used to perform. The May 20th performance was recorded live and released as an album in 1997 in an effort to rush a June release. During filming, the soundboard computer failed, and the first act had to be mixed by hand. As a safeguard, the Wednesday matinee and evening performances were also recorded in 16. Rice's intention was to follow the same developmental route he and Andrew Lloyd Webber undertook with Jesus Christ Superstar and Evita, which started life as recordings and concerts respectively. A cast album was released, which cut several musical numbers and reprises. The album, entitled Alan Menken and Tim Rice's King David, a world premiere concert event, highlights from the live performance, was released on June 24, 1997. The ballad Never Again has been performed by Patti LuPone at the Hollywood Bowl concert in 1987 and recorded by Ruthie Henshaw on her 2001 Hilton album, 25. Of the song, Ben Brantley wrote Coon's original interpretation, dazzlingly turns an unremarkable song, Never Again, into an incisive emotional portrait that stops the show.